see. So good afternoon. Yeah, this time we are both in Easter time. Good afternoon, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
good. You are right now in Montreal, right?
I'm currently still in Montreal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am right now in Richmond. It's one of the first time in which we both are on the same time. How it's been these days without formal training with the team? What are you able actually to accomplish?
Yeah, it's been tough. Obviously, having a schedule that you kind of follow every day for training and workouts, and kind of moving that into the comfort of your own home has been difficult. But there's been some days where it's been really easy to stay motivated, and others are a bit harder. But just knowing kind of everyone's going through the same thing has been a bit easier, and knowing that it's still my job to stay as fit as I can. So just trying to take it day by day and do whatever I can in that day to stay fit and stay sharp.
I assume you have a plan by the training staff, or how is that?
Yeah, so we've been given 2-week plans. So every 2 weeks we have different workouts, different runs, different competitions that we have within our squad to do. So trying to get that compete level to stay, and that competitive spirit to stay, and things of that sort. And then obviously we're kind of on our own for what we put into our bodies, so the nutrition side of things, the mental side of things, and just trying to keep it all balanced, trying to keep some sort of regularity and within our daily plans. But we're just trying to do our best.
Do you have I assume so, but I'm not sure also, do you have a WhatsApp group with the teammates?
Yeah.
One separate from the training staff, and you try to help yourself a little bit, maybe the captains have that put together or something like that? Or...
Yeah. So we have a couple different groups. So obviously, one with our staff, so we can all stay in contact, and then one with the players. We try and stay in contact as much as we can. We just had a Zoom call, actually a team Zoom call a couple of weeks ago. So the boss man was telling us to stay motivated and kind of stay on top of things, which is nice. And we needed that kind of push. And we try and stay in contact, try and keep those relationships going. And obviously with technology, we're grateful for that. So we can stay in contact.
Yeah. Okay. I think we are going to go a little bit, I don't have the necessity of going just chronologically, but I want to go a little bit back to some of the moments in which actually I watch you play on TV, I watch you play also live. And then we will come back to the fact that you were actually playing a lot with your new team, and that was awesome. And so we'll see. Hope the thing continue like that. But I assume it was just not the good moment for you to stop. Not for anyone, of course, but you probably would say like, man, I was playing now. Right?
Yeah, I had some personal momentum going in, and obviously we've had some injuries to our back line at that time, so I got my opportunity, and I think I took advantage of it. Obviously I kept playing, so the staff had some sort of trust in me, and it was nice to see that in my first year I got some meaningful minutes early on, and obviously getting that assist in my debut was an amazing accomplishment for me. And but obviously the win was the most important thing, just getting wins and getting our feet under us. And but yeah, like you said, it's obviously not a good time for anybody to stop. Everyone, we're at the peak of our fitness at that time, and our team was actually playing really, really well. We got some points on the road against Dallas, which is a very tough place to play. And obviously, not a result we wanted against Olympia at home, but we felt good going to the second leg until everything kind of came to a halt. So for me personally, it was, a halt in kind of my progression and where I was headed. And but for the team, I think it's not the best situation. But again, we just look at the perspective of things, and football comes second to, the health and the people around us. So to kind of get that perspective and that mindset, it makes it a little bit easier.
So I do I watched you play live at Lane or against Lane United. I don't think maybe I probably watched you play also live Did you ever play in Salem against Timbers U23 with Calgary? You remember?
No, because they came to us.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think we went there once at the end of the season.
And maybe it wasn't Salem, maybe it was Ben. Oh, I don't know, because I don't recall have seen you play at Salem anyway, where I was also. But
Yeah.
yes, you said that there were issues. Well, there were a couple of injuries with Montreal, and they needed you, and you played. The first time I saw you playing more consistently was at TSS, and I remember it was the first season of TSS. I know you play also with Kitsap, but I do remember following the kind of birth of that club with Will and company, and I watched live the first game because I watched a lot of these games, and I was surprised to see how good some of the boys look.
Yeah.
You were one of them. I remember Verhoeven and other guys, and I was like, yeah, these are good players, and you were able to play mostly anywhere. So again, I think with you play Kitsap the year before, right? We are talking about PDL, we are talking about USL2 for the ones that maybe are not familiar with this. You play with Kitsap and what? Your second year at the university, maybe second summer?
It was 2016, so I went in 2014, so it would have been my second season or
Yeah.
third season, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that Kitsap Pumas was still a a team with pedigree and some older guys, Corey
Yeah.
Page, and some other names I remember, like in all the team, right? How was that first year? Very quickly, if you wanna.
Yeah, it was interesting because when I was looking at PDL clubs at that time, Kitsap, to be honest, it wasn't really in my plans. I kind of just went there and I had a really good trial. And after the first day, Cammy McDonald, the manager at that time, came to me and said, we really want you. We want you on the team. And that was the first day. And I kind of had to decide in that year if it was going to go, the Foothills route or, Seattle or Timber or wherever. But Kitsap was definitely not my first choice. But just the feeling I got and the trust that they had in me after day one, it was really good to see. And then it paid off because I think that year was the biggest year in my transition as a footballer. I think.
Why?
Yeah, it was. I think just the level of play, and I think Cammy McDonald was an amazing coach for me personally. He pushed me. He played me. He gave me the opportunity. He gave me the minutes. And I think at the end of the day, that's all a player really wants is just an opportunity to show what they have. And for me, my breakout performance was against the Sounders in the Lamar Hunt Cup. And
I watched that game.
And we had a really good performance. And we won, I think, in the last minute or something. It was a crazy game. And then I just kept playing from there. And again, I'm one of those players that takes my opportunity whenever I get it, and I'm not going to squander it. And he gave me that opportunity. And that year was definitely a big transition year for me and becoming a much, much better player than I was in my first couple of years at Trinity. And just the things I learned. And obviously, like you alluded to before, the players that were there, I learned a lot from Corey and guys like that. So I'm grateful that I chose to go to that club when I did, and it definitely paid off and helped me in my transition to other PDL clubs later.
Yeah, and what about the next year? It was just some kind of, this is a new club closer to where I am from, or how was moving to TSS or deciding to go with TSS?
Yeah, for me it was because Cammy actually wasn't the manager after 2016, right? So that was a big deciding factor in why I didn't want to go back. And obviously with TSS being super close to home and in my home city, it was almost a no-brainer. I wanted to play in front of my friends and family and fans and to build a club at that point. But that actually ended up being the reason why I didn't go back, was because I was in my career, a point in my career where it was hard for me and a lot of the guys to build a club from the ground up. And for me, at that point in my career, I needed to play at a place where we were going to have success. We were going to, I was going to be with a coach that would push me, and that was Tommy Wilden Jr. at that time. And obviously Foothills with their run in 2016, they lost in the final, right? So for me, at my point in my career at that time, I needed to be seen, and I needed to be on a team that, was had a bit more experience, in that league, and it was going to be hard to build that at TSS so early on. And but yeah, it was super.
Sorry. So, sorry, Joe. So you are saying that it was difficult to move from TSS to Calgary?
Not difficult. Well, it was like the decision for sure was difficult.
Yeah, I understand.
Absolutely. I didn't,
Yeah.
to be honest, like I wish TSS would have been at that time a club 10, 15 years in the making, because it was hard to get it off the ground. You saw, I think we only got,
yeah, I know.
3 wins in our first year, right? So
very young group, very young group,
very inexperienced. The first time we were all playing together in that league, and it's a tough league with, especially in our conference with Foothills, Seattle, Portland, Lane was amazing at that time. So for me, I needed to be with a squad that, we were going to have a bit more success and I'd be seen. And in my point in my career at that time, it was hard for me to build a club. And, but looking where they're at now, they've obviously had more success in the recent years, and I'm super happy for them and wish I could have been a part of it. But for me in that point, I just felt it was best in my career to move to Calgary. So, yeah, and then I moved to Calgary in 2018. Obviously, it paid off pretty well there. But now playing in BC was still an amazing part of my career, and having my family there and my friends, and obviously playing with guys that I would play against in university ball was fun.
Yeah, I definitely think, and I at the time I also got some kind of constant communication with Will, with your coach, and I think looking from outside, I was not, telling anything that wasn't true for me. Definitely, it was showcasing the talent of the players at those universities. I kept going back and forth to the rosters, saying, "Okay, where is this kid playing? Oh, yeah, he's playing with this other kid. You were playing with Elijah, right, at the university?"
Yeah. He's one of my best friends.
Yeah, you two were playing in the midfield probably, or what? Oh.
Yeah, we played together for 3 years. Yeah.
That is a very nice midfield, and I like this game wherever I am at the moment in my life. And some people that is not very familiar with the game in different places might just kind of not watch certain leagues or certain games because they are not fancy or because they haven't been attracted to them.
Yeah.
I watch them and the talent is there and it's super fun. And so imagining you two playing at the university, like, okay, those are two very talented guys that the only thing that they need is some more people to look at them, and then just having that route. So TSS, I knew that, what you said, a lot of inexperienced players yet, but I think it fulfilled the purpose of definitely showcasing your talent. And it wasn't only you that went to Calgary next year. It was Kamara, I don't know who else, but it was like a all-star Canadian team, to be honest, for Tommy and company, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's I think after that year, a lot of guys made different moves, and obviously a lot of the players on the team changed at TSS too. And I think a lot of players are in a similar situation as I was. I think it was just hard to build something super successful that quick and to be noticed. And if we're being honest, the teams that get noticed are the ones that are winning. And for us, we just weren't getting the results at that time. And for me, where I was in my career and the age I was at, I needed to get results and I needed to be seen. And for me, that was a huge, massive thing of a part of why I went to Calgary, and knowing that the team that we were putting together there. So,
how was the transition into Calgary? It was smoother because you knew Elijah, or because Calgary had their own group of guys, basically, right?
Yeah, I knew a lot of those guys beforehand. We had really good relationships from obviously university and playing against people, and there's obviously some relationships where I didn't get along with some guys, but that's football, because we knew, with the CPL rumors, I knew that a lot of those guys were going to Foothills, and we were putting together a squad that later on would make the transition to the CPL as well. So obviously that was a massive part of why I went there, and we all knew, the goal, and that was to win a PDL championship. And it didn't really matter. We had to put our own relationships aside, kind of thing, and have this goal and have this vision of all working together to win. So
yeah, it's maybe one of the I don't know. Probably this is just saying too much, but it's one of the first time where you also feel like there is a level of competition all around the team, the organization, between you and other center backs that were playing already.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is more intense. It's more what I think professional is gonna look like.
Absolutely. And that was another thing a big reason why I left was exactly like you said, the atmosphere, the training every day. It's guys were competing for spots, and I was getting better in that environment. And it was more of a pro environment at that time because TSS was super early on and they were still trying to work out the kinks. But Hills was around for a long time. They built into something. And yeah, looking at that, looking at my experience there, it definitely, being with those types of players and having that compete level every single day and every single training session and every single game to fight for a spot, that definitely set me up and helped me transition to definitely higher levels like the CPL and now the MLS.
Yeah. Okay, and then Canadian Premier League finally materialized. And I was checking the numbers. I don't care much, but you are selected number 14th.
Yeah.
And I also checked the other guys before you. And I know there are a lot of, different equations in those selections. But it's a little bit surprising that you were number 14th.
Yeah.
Either way, you don't have to say much about that unless you want to say something or maybe how you felt about that. Yeah. How do you feel? Did you know that you were gonna go there or
It's actually interesting. A lot of people don't know this kind of story, but
okay.
In my obviously the coaches were out watching our national tournament, and it was the first time Trinity has made it in, I think, since 2009. So it was a massive thing for our program and massive thing for me personally. And I actually, when this whole thing was going down, the whole CPL draft and everything, when they reached out to me, the CPL reached out to me, I actually wasn't going to go in the draft at all because I just wasn't sure where the league was at, how they're going to draft players. I didn't want to go to an East Coast team. I either wanted to go to Pacific at that time that was close to home, or Calgary, which I already had a relationship with PDL, right? So there was no really real detail on how they're going to do it. So I decided to just exclude myself from the draft altogether. And it was interesting because I think it was the draft was going to happen on the Monday after the national tournament. And I got a call on Sunday night. I forget who it was from, but it was someone from the CPL just asking why I didn't declare for the draft. And I just said, there's too many details that are just unknown. And I don't want to end up going to an East Coast team where I'll be far away from, family, friends, and, an atmosphere I'm not really, close with or relevant with. So for me, I had a long conversation with that person, and they ended up convincing me, that I would be either drafted, by a Pacific or a Cavalry just based on, how they're doing the draft. So just knowing those details, I re-entered the draft. And actually that's why I got drafted so late, because I was such a late addition to the draft that, obviously Tommy and I had talks before, and he was going to draft me. And, at that time I didn't really care what number I went as long as I got drafted by him. So, it was interesting that way. I'm not really sure what round I would have went, but, that's why.
Okay.
But I just entered late, right? So I actually wasn't even going to enter it in the first place, but I ended up entering it because for me, it was my best opportunity to make it pro at that time. And I wasn't going to let that opportunity slip.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, sometimes you have to also explain or express your feelings, and it might turn out good as it happens with you. Instead, that's completely avoiding something or, just neglecting an opportunity. And then the season is, unfortunately, I didn't watch pretty much any of the games, but it was a successful season, and I was reading what I could read, and everything looked very familiar to me. I kept communication not with the people at Calgary, but with other people that knows Calgary organization, and all the things look familiar, like late games winners, close scores, and very successful stories from Calgary or Cavalry organization. So how was from inside the season for you?
Yeah, it was basically a success story, right? Obviously, I wasn't part of their 2016 team that was made it so close, but I felt the pain for those guys because I was close with all of those guys, and I was just coming into already a really good team, and obviously filled with Calgary players, like you mentioned, and I just wanted to be a part of it and help them get over that edge of just making it and being so close. And for me, it was I wanted to win. I wanted to win the whole thing, and that season was an amazing thing. Like just seeing the progression of where we were from preseason to the season, and then to the final, then our playoff run, and just everything that kind of happened. There was late winners, dramatics, and but I will say there was no point during that season, I don't think, where I felt that we were going to lose. I really didn't. I just thought our confidence was so high and the culture was so good, and the players that we had, any team that we came up against, we weren't scared. We weren't going to bow down to anybody or take a backseat to anybody. And for me, it was just, we were just locked in mentally the whole year. And obviously we had some good competitions. Obviously we lost to TSS on the road, and then tied Portland at home. And I think we won 11 out of the 15 or 16 games or whatever it was. So we had a good run. And then obviously in the playoffs, it was difficult playing teams like FC Tucson and the Golden State Force and teams from LA. And it was, it was an amazing run. And looking back and just, beating Reading in the final. Reading was an amazing team. And and then after we won, just hearing, seeing every fan just leave, and it was just us and the trophy, and it was just as sweet as if we were playing at home for me. And but yeah, like you said, obviously tons of dramatics, tons of late winners, but like I said, at any point I really thought we were going to win every game, because that's the confidence and the mentality that Tommy instilled in us and that we instilled in each other.
Yeah, I was actually asking you for the season after the Canadian Premier League, but so basically the same question. Because I was able to follow that season, the one in which with Calgary you won.
Yeah.
Once you are drafted and you finally go into the first season of the Canadian Premier League, what I was reading through Twitter and social media and the recaps of the games were also very similar, especially during the fall season, then cavalry wins. And like, of course, because they played through the end, and they always have something in set pieces or throw-ins that is going to make it. So how was it?
Yeah, it was almost the same storyline almost. Again, we had lots of the same players that we played with in the PDL, and that same culture, that same mindset with Tommy, obviously, and that he instilled in us. And obviously we weren't really sure how it was going to go. Every team was brand new. Everyone had different players, and we had different players coming in for international spots, and we weren't really sure how our team was going to flow. But honestly, I could say from day one, our team just matched and fit together perfectly well. And just every position was, kind of up for grabs. It was competitive. It was in every session, every game. And we had a really good preseason, and then obviously I think we went 7 games unbeaten in the fall and until we lost, or 8 games, but again, late dramatics, late winners, obviously set pieces and free kicks and
throw-ins by Nico or not?
Throw-ins by Nico, but that's just who we were. Like that's just obviously we never counted our team out of a match ever. It doesn't matter what minute it was in. Obviously away at Forge in the first game, we won in the 94th minute or something like that. Like, so for us, it was never counting ourselves out of any match, and we were always still in it. And obviously our Canadian Championship run, beating the Whitecaps, was massive for the club and massive for the fans. And our success winning the both spring and fall. And then obviously we came up a little bit short, and all respect to Forge in the final. I think they outplayed us over 2 legs, and it would have been amazing to kind of get that treble. But at the end of the day, looking back, the most important thing for us was, getting a community around it. And the city of Calgary just, they all bought in. The stadium was crazy. The fans were amazing. And just for us having won, the spring, fall, and then our run in the Canadian Championship was amazing for our club, and something that'll set us forward for probably future years and forever.
Awesome. Can you help me to understand, to me and someone that has never been in Calgary, what it means right now Cavalry FC for the city, in your opinion?
Man, it's because Calgary was never. Well, I mean, Canada in general was always a
Hmm.
hockey nation, right? It's always been hockey, and we always needed our own league, and now we can have a league that we can call our own. And for the city of Calgary, to be honest, I didn't grow up in Calgary, but hearing it from Tommy and guys that have grown up there, soccer was never
Hmm.
front page. It was never something that really people thought about, and obviously Tommy was a massive part of that. His players, his club, kind of drove that movement forward and made soccer relevant in the city. And then seeing 7,000-8,000 people out against watching us against the Whitecaps and just experiencing that. I was injured at the time, so I was actually in the stands, and I got to feel the energy and feel the vibe of the fans. And obviously our foot soldiers, our fan group, they grew from I think 10 to 15 people to over 200 in their section. And just having a community and a support around us, and playing in that stadium, such a unique stadium for the
Yeah.
city of Calgary, was massive. Like, not just having hockey, because there's football fans in Calgary, there's football fans in every city. It's the world's game. So we wanted to bring it to Calgary and
Hmm.
see how they reacted to it. And they reacted amazing. And just being out to, pub events and places downtown, you could just see that it was just buzzing. And for a lot of people, this club means the world to them. It's everything to them. And for
Hmm.
us, we just wanted to give back in every way we can. And obviously that's winning on the pitch and being successful there, but also doing our part off the pitch. So,
Hmm.
yeah, for the city of Calgary, it was amazing. And I have so many good memories from that time.
Were you were you living in Calgary during that year?
I
You lived
was,
there,
I
right?
was living there. Yeah.
And would you say that you were known when you were in some main streets in Calgary, or how is it? How is that?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Like, you know, it wouldn't be I don't think a random thing where you're just kind of walking on the street or whatever, but people definitely knew who you played for,
Hmm.
and whether they were shy and didn't want to come up, or things of that sort. But for us, it was more of a business end than anything. We didn't go out a lot, we didn't do a lot of things, because for us it was business, it was football. And
Sure.
obviously with the schedule that we have, basically every day we're training or doing something, a recovery or a team activity, or
Yeah.
um, but definitely. And after we do, tons of stuff with youth clubs in Calgary
Uh-huh.
and things like that, the kids look up to us, and we're role models for them. And because
Hmm.
now they have something to aspire to be in their lives, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, no, it was a great honor, and it was fun to be part of it.
And so, yeah, thank you, Joel. So the season ends again. As you said, the team wins both the regular season and then falls short in the championship
Mhm.
against Forge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and later on, boy, I have heard how you have told the story about the interest by Montreal and the conversation with Tommy
Mhm.
during the Canadian Championship. But yeah, the season finished. It's funny that you said that you cannot play against Whitecaps, you cannot play against Montreal at all, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was out for the series against the Whitecaps, and obviously our season games, and then Montreal as well. Yeah, I had a broken toe, so I was out like I think
Yeah.
6 weeks in total.
Yeah. So the season ends, but I'm sure they look at the games and they get confidence enough that you are someone they want to invest.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year and then the beginning of the year, everything just go a little bit fast without you basically probably realizing about that, and then you are gonna become a player of Montreal Impact. But before that, One Soccer is the channel that broadcasts the games of the Canadian Premier League, right? And
Yes.
I saw the Canadian Championship through One Soccer. Uh, and of course, not very interesting the numbers, but again, they put together a ranking. I'm sure you're familiar with this. Whether one of those rankings that I am always like a little bit upset with these things. But anyway, the top 50 players of the league that year. And I was just making the numbers. There are 7 teams. There were 7 teams. You have maybe 13 players that you play a lot. That is about 90 players, and they ranked you on the number 43.
Mm.
I don't care about the numbers, but it's very funny.
Mhm.
You are ranking number 43 out of about 90 important players for the league.
Mhm.
Um, because they are trying to explain why Montreal is gonna get you. But anyway, all those things happen. My only question, just moving to your time in Montreal and how is the preseason and all that stuff, is that how was again the competition for you as a center back? How was your integration into cavalry team? I know you were competing against Sator, Dominique, you were competing against Jonathan Wright, Mason. Those were the other three center backs. Were you also playing in the midfield? How was that? Because before we move with Montreal, again, competition, your ability to play different positions, kind of an assessment of how was that for you during the season with Cavalry?
Yeah, it was. I looked at it. I looked at it kind of two ways. It's one, yes, I'm competing for a spot, but also I'm like, those guys are my friends. We had really good relationships with one another. Obviously Mason and his experience and where he was at, and obviously Jay as well. Mm-hmm. I just tried to learn. I learned from those guys because obviously it was my first year being pro, and obviously Zach with his experience with, you know, the old Whitecaps Academy and the Whitecaps FC2 before it folded. Mm-hmm. You know, these were guys that I've heard of, and obviously Zach, we played against each other in university ball when he played for the UFC Dinos, and mm-hmm. You know, I didn't really focus on them too much, but I just focused on myself and coming in. And again, I knew my opportunity would come at some point, and I had to take advantage of it. And obviously Mason went down in preseason, so he couldn't play, you know, the home opener, and then he couldn't play for the first, you know, 8-9 games of the season. And knowing that, I stepped in and I did a job, and for me, that's what it was all about. And there was I never have any hates or any, you know, issues with them personally ever. We all have really good relations, and we were a unit. We were a unit more than anything, us four, and we knew whoever would play, our job is to keep the ball out of the net, and that's it. And for me, it was hard sometimes, obviously, you know, when Mason came back and then I got injured, and I had to make my way back into the team, and it was difficult at times being on the bench. I don't think any player likes to be on the bench, and everyone wants to be, you know, a part of the team. But at the end of the day, everyone's still a part of the team, whether they're playing or not. And you can be, you know, a leader in different ways. But for me, yeah, I was just having a really good relationship with them personally, all learning from each other, and just motivating each other just to be better. And for us, we had the best defensive record in the whole league. And that was something that, you know, we wanted to do and wanted to be from the very start. So for us, obviously we did our job, and but like I said, it was just, yeah, it's two-sided coin sometimes. I wanted to focus on, you know, I wanted to play, obviously, but if I wasn't, how could I be a good teammate, and how can I make them better?
I guess for me, because unfortunately I wasn't able to really watch the games, but I assume that you were, or the team was adjusting or changing a little bit, like the numbers, right? The systems and things like that. And I don't know, I'm trying to ask if you were one of the players that, like your time on your playing time will be more, especially when there will be change of system because of your versatility. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if it's Jonathan Wildon, he will always play in the back four on the right, but you will be playing back four on the right, as left, and back three, those kind of things with good players. There is competition, but there is also like, today you are in, and then the day after you are not in because of adjustment of that type, or was not really that. It was just, if you are injured, you are playing. And that was the kind of question I was going for, but it's a little bit vague because I was not able to watch the games, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was, I think one of the biggest reasons why Tommy brought me in is because of my versatility, right? So sometimes when I think we had 7 games in the month of August. So our schedule was just crazy. And I was just coming back from injury, and I literally came back on the Thursday, and we had a game on the Friday. So some guys were tired. I got plugged in center back. And then a couple of days later, we played FC Edmonton, and I played as a 6 in the center mid. So there was no talks about, you know, there was no talks about minutes at all in preseason, or no one was promised an amount of minutes. It's, you had to earn your spot. And for me, being able to be versatile and play different positions, I could play, you know, on the left side left-sided CB or right-sided CB. I can even play fullback sometimes if you need me to. I can play the 6. So my versatility definitely helped me get more minutes.
Is that easy for you, Joe? It's kind of okay.
No, it's not easy.
Yeah,
It's not
because
easy. It's not easy because it's definitely beneficial in some points, but there are some cases where when it wasn't even the coaching staff's fault, there are some cases where I'd be training as a CB all week and then someone gets injured or something and I have to move into it, but it's just a different mindset, right? Like you have to prepare during the week. Oh, I'm going to prepare as a 6 or I'm going to prepare as a center back. And it's different because, as a 6, you can take a bit more liberties going forward and because, you have a back line behind you, but as a CB, you're the last one back. So if you miss a tackle or misplace a pass, it's, it could be over. So it was definitely difficult at times because usually the coaching staff was really, really good at that, letting me know. And obviously in the first, 8 or 9 games of the season, the spring season, with Mason being injured, we knew what our back 3 was going to be. So we got in a rhythm. But, there's some parts during the season where they did a really good job of kind of letting not only me know, but other guys who are versatile too, that, we're going to train you here this week because that's where you're going to play. And you kind of get into that mindset and get prepared. But, there's some instances, obviously, with a condensed schedule and guys kind of, going down injured or whatever the case may be, that different guys had to pop in different places. Look at Zats. Zats was starting center back and then he had to move to right back for basically the rest of the season. And it's hard to make that transition because each position has its own different job, has a different job and different things that you have to execute and do. So, but the coaching staff, for the most part, did an amazing job.
Yeah, I can imagine that you have to develop yourself as a good listener because as a youth coach myself, there are always certain players that what you said, there is an issue and you always as a coach go to this and that one. And those are the players that you give so much information because of different roles. Like the book play is like huge, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's hard also because you actually just have that confidence in those players, like in a play like you, but on the other hand, also it's like you cannot just get the player crazy or just too much information. So yeah, it's complicated at times, but it's an asset for you, definitely, right? And that's how you were go.
Oh, absolutely. And I couldn't agree with what you just said. I think a lot of times, there's some coaches out there, you hear everything in our culture about detail, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to let a player play. And for me, it's okay if a coach wants to give me a lot of detail, I'll pick out what is the most important of that detail and try and execute that. There's some stuff you can kind of leave out, and it takes a skill to learn how to do that, right? Like you got to listen and really, really listen on, what kind of your jobs are and then what can I weed out and what can I keep and what's going to make me better. And it's a hard thing. And obviously every coach is different with their detailing. And, but I think at the end of the day, we were all pros at that time. We all loved the game. Being as versatile as we were, we all had experience in those positions anyways. And sometimes it's a thing of go do your thing and go do what you're best at. And for me, it's a fine line between that for coaches, and it's difficult for them too. But it's finding that happy medium between that.
Of course, when I was just going back again to the moment in which you are officially introduced and acquired by Montreal, that was one of the things that they were also, that Montreal, your club, is now mentioning, right? Oh, Joel can play. It's funny that they already identify you as a center back because they have, you have to put an etiquette regardless. But of course that you can play in different positions. And so that is your asset right now, and that is like your trademark, I think, probably. So how is that? You go to, I don't know how many days they told you that you have to get to Montreal, and how was that transition and then going into preseason?
It was.
Do you have the chance of going with the whole team to the preseason?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a really quick transition. It was, I think it was January 6th or 7th. I found out on that Monday. I found out on the Tuesday that Montreal acquired me, and that, Tommy gave me a call and just said that they came to a mutual agreement and that I was going. And basically I had to be in Montreal by that Friday on the 11th. So I had 3 days to
To say goodbye.
to say goodbye to my family, friends, and anyone that I could at that time.
Yeah.
And then I had to be in Montreal for medicals and physicals and things of that sort. And then preseason started on the 14th. So we had a couple days in Montreal, and then we went straight to Florida for 2 weeks. The whole team with a couple academy players trained in Florida for 2 weeks. Obviously with a preseason game, we had a preseason game against DC United. And then we came back for probably a weekend, 2 to 3 days in Montreal to regroup. And then we were off to Florida again for 2 weeks. And then we went straight from Florida to our Champions League game against Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
So it was basically, just a lot of preparation, a very, very quick transition. And it was very difficult for the first couple of weeks because it's a new pace, it's new speed. You got to, new relationships with, coaching staff and players. And it's just a different level of professionalism. And not that I'm not saying the CPL is not professional at all. It's just a different league. It's a different experience. And, but yeah, it was definitely hard sometimes for sure. It's like trying to get your feet underneath you and trying to adapt to a new philosophy of coaching, obviously with the boss and where he's been in his life. He knows how to play the game, and he's made me better, and I can't complain about that. And but it took about a good month, kind of just going into the season and the regular season, where I finally found my footing. And then obviously having that exposure in Costa Rica coming on in the 17th minute, I think, after Rudy Camacho went down injured. It was, that was my debut basically in front of 20,000 crazy Costa Rican fans. And I kind of got thrown into it, when I got acquired, and then I got thrown into it in Costa Rica. But I wouldn't have wanted any other way, because I think it prepared me for, our MLS games in front of 15, 20,000 people at Olympic Stadium, where it wasn't as intimate as Costa Rica and it wasn't as wild. But obviously the Montreal fans are amazing. But getting that experience first, it kind of helped me with the other experiences and starts after. So yeah, it was kind of just a very, very quick transition and something I had to adapt to very, very quick. But looking back, it's I'd rather that.
Yeah. How are you in those situations, or did you feel like, especially over, not the stress, but when you mentioned that you were on the sidelines about to get into the game in Costa Rica, or I don't know, first time you went with your boss now, with Titi Henry, how are you in those situations? Like me, before actually happens, I am super nervous. Then in the moment, it's like normal. But
Yeah.
did you feel yourself especially, like, I don't know, stressed, or especially calm, or how is?
Yeah, it was, I think, as athletes, and I mean, in any work, you can't get too high and can't get too low. You have to stay as neutral as possible. And I know that sounds super easy to say, but it's very difficult to do, and especially in that situation. And, first with Boss Man, the first couple of days, it was a bit of starstruck a little bit, and just knowing, where he's been and what type of player he is, and how much success he's had in his career, and just knowing that he's gonna be our manager and making us better. And but after the first couple of days, it was business as usual, right? He was our manager, we were the players. Let's all try and win an MLS Cup, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
But the Costa Rica game, it was definitely, I'm not the type of player I really get nervous and start to panic. I'm more, I get the butterflies, and I think you need to have that.
Yes.
I think it means you're ready. And if you ask any athlete, they'll probably still get a bit of butterflies before any game, let alone a Champions League game. But yeah, for me, it was, all I remember was just hearing this deafening sound from the crowd, and then Boss Man being, all he said was just ease yourself into the game, and that's all he said. And I just kind of fell back onto what I always do in training, my abilities of what got me there, my passing, my defending, and just trying to do everything in my power to show my abilities and just do what I've always done. The stage was obviously different, but what got me there didn't change. And for me, that was, I wasn't panicking or nervous. It was just, once I got on the field and got the touch of the ball, it was business as usual. And I love playing, and the more people, the better for me. I love the big occasions. I love the pressure of it. I love just all of it. I think it's so exciting, so fun. And it's a massive part of football, and why I want to become a professional footballer, and to be on that stage. And it's an experience I'll remember for the rest of my life for sure.
Yeah. Well, I hope the season resume and you continue experiencing some of those really nice MLS stadiums as well. There is anyone during that month, I guess, I don't know, someone from maybe from your family or your circle that you were basically listen to, or you have to express yourself, or like, you know, trying to calm down, or to put into perspective all that thing that was happening. And then also, have you had someone just helping you, especially in the group in Montreal? It might be some of the technical staff or just the team, or some teammates with more experience trying to help you and other guys to get acclimated, or how is it?
I definitely, my family is definitely my outlet for a lot of things. I don't tell them everything just because see my parents, I think they worry more than I do about everything, and that's just a parent's job, right?
Yeah.
But obviously I have very, very close friends and close relationships back home, and anybody and people I can call any second and they'll answer the phone. And I definitely needed those people in that time, because obviously, like I said, it was a lot of transitioning, a lot happening, and I just needed to kind of make sense of it all. And just have someone there that you can call is super important, and someone that you can have in your circle. And then someone on the team. There hasn't been, someone like a role model figure for me yet. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of time together, but
Yeah.
I've definitely made some very good friends, very good relationships with coaching staff and players, and they made it way easier for the transition. Just knowing, how they're so accommodating with kind of everything when I was staying here, and putting me in a hotel when I didn't have a place to stay, and just everything. The club was very good to me at the beginning, and making that transition easier. So, but yeah, I'm just really excited to keep those relationships going within the club, and hopefully, we have these kind of relationships for life after this.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, I always have a couple of questions. I think I want to mention that I was also rewatching a little bit the couple of games you play with Montreal already. But yeah, yeah, okay, all that comes together, and then you have your debut in MLS. Again, I watch the games. How do you feel? How yeah, how do you feel with the pace of the game? How do you feel with I don't know, game plan, things like that? Did you see progress in, like, yes, inside of you, like, okay, I feel better after the minute 25, I feel better in the second game? Or is it still really too soon or too early? It's just all
Yeah,
catching up with a lot of things, right?
no, I felt really good
Okay.
in the first couple games. Part of that had to do with our formation and what the boss man kind of put out, and our formation going forward was basically a 3-5-2 with our fullbacks getting high, and center back, you love that because you can either play your center back, one of the guys playing between the lines, like a Bobo or Maxi or someone, or you can play your fullback, or you can even switch it. So you have lots of options as a center back on the ball. And
True.
For me, we had a really good performance against New England, I thought, and obviously it was a bit tougher against Dallas. Our first half wasn't very good, but
How was going against Barrios? I was trying to see how was going against Michael Barrios.
Yeah, well, he actually wasn't on my side. He was actually on the other side. So,
oh yeah, you have number 9, Pico, right? In the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was on the left side. Barrios was on the right side. So he didn't really come on my side a lot of the times. But no, he's a player. He can pick a pass. He's shifty. He's fast. He's quick, and obviously a threat for them. But it was both those games really good personally for me, and obviously as a team, we played really well against New England, got the win, and unfortunately gave up a 2-goal lead in Dallas. But again, it's a hard place to play in Dallas, and Dallas is a very good team. Obviously, they always have been in the MLS, even with academy players, producing players, and everything of that sorts. But yeah, no, the first games for me it was good. The pace was good. I didn't feel out of place. I felt good on the ball. Obviously some mistakes, but that's going to happen. You're never going to play a perfect game, and you got to look back at video and look back and try and fix them and try and be better for the next time. So for me, I was content with my performances, but I know I've gotten better since being here, and that's all you can really ask for as a player.
Okay, now that we got a little bit into that One, two questions about that, I think. So, what are the with ball or without the ball? What do you think is the yeah? When you guys are playing without the ball, theoretically it should be fine. But I'm thinking without the ball, when your team has the ball and is just about to lose it or something like that, is that part more difficult than trying to put together what you as a team have in mind with the ball? What is where you think you as a group, you and the other two guys in the center back can progress more? What is more difficult, more challenging right now for you? What is the thing you get like more easily at this point?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think we take chances going forward. Obviously, with our fullbacks that high,
Mm-hmm.
it gives us a lot of options. But again, if someone makes a mistake or gives the ball up, or we get the ball up, they can catch us on the counter, and that's what happened against Olympia. A lot of times, we got caught on the counter
I
off a corner kick, and obviously, you never want that to happen. And obviously, whenever we're in their half, keeping good possession, our fullbacks are so high. We need to hold a 6, like a Sam Piet or Victor Wanyama, just to stay and make it a 4, because
mm-hmm.
with Banksy and I, Louis Banks on the other side, and me pushing up, they love us stepping in, and we're comfortable stepping in with the ball. And once that happens, it kind of leaves us kind of vulnerable at the back, or it can if we don't do our jobs right, and if a 6 doesn't slide in. So
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely more difficult, because there's been times where we've given up the ball and just trying to create,
Mm-hmm.
and they're right back down our throats, and we have to kind of scramble back and get some sort of organization and try and defend it. But it's definitely easier in the attack because you have so many options, right? And as a CB,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the way we play, and I have options on the ball. Like I said, I can go to my fullback, I can switch it, I can play between the lines.
True.
So for us, it's really good going forward to have those kind of options. And
Mm-hmm.
but again, it leaves us kind of vulnerable at the back, so we got to be careful.
Yeah, and I think again thinking yesterday about this conversation, I think for you, with your first touch and good ability to pass the ball on the ground, I think you are a player that benefits from having the opportunity of playing in good fields with a team that want to move the ball,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's one of your major assets. But if you are playing in a good field, or the team doesn't want to play that way, it's just completely kind of disorientate the way you want to play and your best asset. So I can see that. And so continuing on that, quarantine, well, this process without real training, do you have videos or by the team about some of these things, playing without the ball or with the ball, that you have to be looking at, or not really because you haven't played that many? You have like assignments on that, like breaking
Yeah.
look at this, you are, or not?
Yeah, absolutely. We always have video sessions and different things that we should and should not be doing. That's one thing the boss man's been really good at, is getting us all together, not trying to call us out, but just for constructive criticism to try and get us better. And we've had many team meetings of video meetings on again what we should and shouldn't do, and with the risks but also the pros of the formation that we do play. And those video sessions have been very helpful, because in game it's hard when it's so fast paced, and it's after the game you can look, oh, why did I do that? But in the game, you're not even just playing, right? So just to have those videos and look back at it to try and get better, it's definitely helpful.
Okay. So my last two questions, the only one that I really do to everyone at this moment. So a little bit outside the Montreal, just in general, in your career as a soccer player, can you recall with me some of those moments where you felt like, I am on fire, I am playing great, I want you to give me the ball? It might be a stretch in training, it might be also carry on to the games. Some moments in which you were like, I am dominant player on the field, I need the ball, give me the ball right now.
Yeah. No, dude, honestly, I think I've always been that type of player. Like, for me, just ask Elijah too. Elijah's been that player, and that's why we're best friends now, and we had so much success at Trinity, is because
I love Elijah as well.
we always wanted the ball. Honestly, sometimes when we're not even in good positions, we'll ask for it, but we just want to be on it, and that's who we were as players and as people. And you know, it's sometimes tough to play with those kind of players because obviously, you know, sometimes we lose our heads when people didn't give us the ball, and that's just the mentality that we have. But I think it's also helped us get to the points of where we're at now. And
Yeah.
definitely there's been stretches of where I was confident and playing really, really well. Some of the moments that, like my Trinity career, I had a really good career. And then the first, you know, 10 to 12 games kind of before I got injured with Cavalry, we were on fire. We were in a good rhythm. But I think that's what your career is all about. It's hopefully, you know, it's an 80-20 and 80% of your most of the time. Yeah, you're on rhythm and on par, or 90-10, but there's going to be stints where your touch is just off and you're just not feeling it, or you have a bad game, and it takes you a couple of training sessions or a couple of games to kind of get your feet back under you. But it's a skill to try and stay as neutral as you can and make sure that, you know, the margin between your best performance and your worst performance is slim, and people can't really notice, you know, and you come off the pitch and be like, I killed that game. But if, you know, you think you have a bad performance, people won't really notice. And for me, consistency is a massive thing, and what I try and bring in my game. And I think a lot of coaches and even players, they love the consistent guys, the ones that they know are going to do the job game in, game out, training session, every training session. And but it's normal for any players who are watching or you know, think because they have one game, you know, their career is done. That's just not the case. It's a brand new day the next day, and people forget about it. And you just got to make sure that, you know, your next game or next training session, you're kind of back to it. And for me, it's just getting back to basics. Usually when I start to play not as well as when I try to start to do stuff that's not me, you know what I mean? So I try and get back to my basics and the abilities of kind of what got me there to that point. So
yeah. Do you have, or have you have any player that you have looked at more to model, not to model, I don't know, that you were more inspired? Or you are talking about consistency, I know where you play on the field, your assets, but have you really looked at players and trying to get things from them on the field, or not really? You are not.
Oh yeah, massive. Yeah, I watch players all the time. I think that's a huge reason and where I kind of hone my skills into. You know, I watched DVG all my career, like just his long ball, and I've tried to, you know, add that into my game as a center back. And you know, different players like Xavi and Iniesta, just watching them, I know, you know, they're a different class, but we're all on the same road of, you know, I'm trying to master. You know, Elijah and I have had conversations about this where we want to be experts at our craft, and we're going in that direction. And but definitely just watching players like that, you just watching it, just getting that visual interpretation of it, you can almost study it and it stays in your brain. You can try it in training and then hopefully add it to your game. So if I didn't watch players, who knows where I'd be, but I'm definitely an advocate for watching games and players.
Well, look, Joe, I am way older than you. I have been around the game a lot. Some players don't watch a lot of games. They don't want to watch games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Seen players playing in La Liga for many years, and they finish the games, and like now with video, they have suffered way more because they don't really like that part. So, but yeah, usually it's the other way.
Yeah, I guess it's personal preference, right? Whatever works for you. And sometimes I don't like watching the games back where I didn't play as well, but I think they're important to watch. And maybe, you know, maybe not the whole thing, or, you know, parts, you can look at parts where you made a mistake and realize it's easy to look back in hindsight and be like, oh, I should have done that. But just learn for next time. And to me, that's one of the ways I just try and get better.
Absolutely. And also, yeah, I think nowadays is way more difficult not doing that. And then the other question has to do also, well, with tactical aspects of the game, or things that I am super passionate and crazy and obsessive about. That is just, you know, you put together a week to prepare for a game, ideally, as a coaching staff, and you are trying to prepare your team as best as you can. You are trying to, you know, give enough information for the players to be more comfortable, not to be reacting, but to be proactive on as much situations as might arise in the game, considering the opponent. So, considering that, do you recall also games and being part of teams in preparation for a concrete game where you think, wow, we really nailed it. We have a plan, we prepared during the week, or maybe less. So, because every time I do this question, it's like, if the guy says no, it's not going to be easy. So prepare but I'm sure you're gonna answer yes. So those games in which actually you also feel like, wow, this was, a work we do the whole week, and it has paid off, and everyone is involved in this, and it's awesome.
The place where I probably experienced that the most so far in my career was at Cavalry FC with Tommy. Mm-hmm. He was a big advocate of, like you said, even Foothills is predicated on this, but also he moved it into Cavalry is exactly not to be reactive but proactive. And for us, it was always just being a step ahead of whoever we were playing that week. So like you said, it was a week by week basis for us. I don't want to give everything away of what he kind of does, but it was basically just exposing their weaknesses and making sure that that we nullified any threats that they had, but also did our part in, people were vulnerable on the wings. We would attack those wings and get crosses in, or just watching video and doing the preparation, because if you don't prepare, you're gonna fail. If you don't know who you're playing against, and it was easier after we played, every team in the CPL 5 or 6 times, but we still have the same mindset going into every week and every game that we're just going to expose their weaknesses and hopefully catch them out of whatever they were trying to do, and that's how we were going to win games. So for me, it was definitely at that time. Obviously, I haven't had not the most experience with Montreal so far, but obviously Thierry was massive at that too. He put in a plan of the way we wanted to play, and spent a little less time focusing on the other teams, but obviously we still had to go in detail to nullify any threats or expose any weaknesses they had. It's almost the same philosophy, but it was definitely more at Cavalry where we looked at our opponents and really were all together and nullifying their threats. And every game, probably 99% of the games that we played at Cavalry, I felt that we were prepared and we were just going to edge our opponents in whatever way their weaknesses were. And he takes great pride in that. And I'm glad I got to experience him. And obviously now Thierry and my coach, Mike Sheeran, back in university, he was more of a coach where he realized the talent that he had on his team. And we didn't really look at other teams' weaknesses, but we looked at our way of playing, and just he was more of a go play coach. Just go play and be you and express yourself. And I loved that about him. And I loved, that part of my career as well. And just how different coaches do their different things. It was amazing to kind of get a taste for different things in my career so far.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned Mike, you said that I think I read that he was an important person for you also.
Yeah, massive.
The career also to think in soccer in a slightly different way, maybe, or this is more something someone write is too much.
No. Yeah, he was massive for me. Yeah, he was massive for me, not only on the pitch but off it. He taught me a lot of things about being a pro and how to handle yourself off the pitch, emotionally wise, mentally wise. Without him, I don't think I would have matured as a player. There were times in my career at Trinity, and even Elijah and I, we were just, we were the type of players, like I said, we wanted the ball 24/7, and we would lose our heads if people wouldn't give us the ball. And it didn't always come off great to our teammates. So Mike taught us how to, just to stay level and in times of chaos. And Tommy was a massive thing for me too, just to stay composed in all the chaos of a game, because it's easy to get emotionally riled up if a call doesn't go your way or somebody makes a mistake or something happens. And for me, he was a massive part of me maturing as a player. Obviously, there's still stints where I, can lose my head because that's just who I am and I'm competitive. But he definitely helped me in that sense.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think for my part, I don't want to take a lot more time from you. You are very young, and I don't do this question to so young players, but you are also talking a little bit about soccer off the field. So for me, for example, the key thing about soccer and thinking in soccer in general, why I am interested in being around soccer still, coaching or commenting or doing other things about soccer. It's just a way to value everything more. It's just a meme to value everything more, right? A way for me to give me a a better relationship with just life overall, honestly. In certain moments of my life, I think soccer is a moment also to realize about things about yourself, like you were saying, right? How to be more composed, how to be emotionally in a situation that doesn't affect negatively others at the opposite. Do you want to go a little bit, just very short, in what is soccer? What does soccer means to you? I understand at this point, definitely it's your career, which I think is what should be for sure. Something else that you think soccer means to you, if you wanna.
Yeah, it's also a really good question. Yeah, obviously it's my job now, but the love for the game will always stay the same for me, and that's why I chased this dream, was because I just loved it more than anything else on the planet. And like you said, it's not just a sport for me; it's a way of life. It's taught me so many lessons about how to handle relationships, how to handle business, how to handle the emotional, the physical, the mental side of everything in life. And I love that you said that, because for me, it's exactly that too. It's a way of life and how I live life. And, without football, I wouldn't have, the relationships I have. I wouldn't have amazing friends. I wouldn't have had these opportunities.
Yeah.
But for me, it definitely, it teaches you about life, sports in general, not just football, but I think football is up there. Just things like dedication and motivation and things of that sort. It just teaches you so much about yourself that I don't think you would get from living regular life. And for me, I'm always going to be an advocate of kids playing so many different sports and kind of trying all avenues. Because I think a lot of times in our culture too, I think kids just get a participation medal for, being a part of it. And I don't think that's real life. I think, kids have to realize that they have to lose. And what comes from that, and the lessons that come from that, I've lost so many times in my career. I've heard no's in my career, and I think that's just part of life. And luckily, my parents let me be exposed to those types of situations and experiences where I got to learn from it. And but yeah, for me, it's my way of life. And hopefully, obviously, when my career ends, I'm going to take that same mentality that I had in football and whatever else I'm going to go into it after, whether it's business or coaching or whatever it may be. I want to always stay involved in the game somehow, because it is my life, and it's something so important to me. And without the sport, without soccer, I don't know where I'd be. So
yeah, I think one of the reasons of doing this or other things, or one of the things I always want, is just we people involved in the game talk good about what comes with the game, because maybe, I don't know, sometimes the discourse goes about players that are too much out of real life. There is too much about the business, I don't know, hypocrisy and too much money involved, and people get change their identity and things like that. But it's good to talk in a different way about the game without being insincere. There are a lot of good stories, and there are a lot of good things that happen to us because we value the game in a way that is positive, and I think that has to be always articulated. And that is the only reason. It's only because you frame the game where you are in a positive way that you definitely can survive there. Otherwise, I think it might be complicated. So I think it's great. And, I think you said it with Canadian Premier League, and for any other player, the only thing you really needed, and the only thing other players that are now 16, 17, 18 need, is just opportunities to keep playing.
Absolutely.
And it's great that you and others keep having those opportunities more and more, and then you keep going and you do it the right way, and you can become a professional in life and do your thing as you.
Absolutely. And opportunity is massive, right? There's only so many spots in so many teams in the world, right? So it's impossible to allow everyone to be a professional footballer with the amount of roster spots, right? So but it's when you get that opportunity, you better take it, because there's someone else right after you who's willing to take it. And for me, that was always my mindset of wherever I played and the opportunity I got. It was, man, I got to make the most of this, because if it might be my only chance. And I think it's important to to allude to the other side of pro football is there's a nasty side to it too. It's you got to have a hard head. You got to be able to take things and take criticism, and you're in the public eye, and whether you're a role model or not, your actions are being watched. Especially, I've realized this on this level. It's like there's more eyes and people watching your games, and some people are going to think you're not very good, and some people are going to think you're amazing, and that's the part of the job, and it comes with it. So I think for any young footballers who, obviously they see, the Instagrams and they see the success and they see the money, and absolutely that's definitely part of it. But they have to see the other side too, where it's like you have to be, willing to take the other side of it too, because it's not easy sometimes. And like even the loneliness, like I've been here in Montreal for a couple months without family, and you got to sacrifice things, right? You got to sacrifice parties, weddings, whatever it may be in your life. And sometimes those are hard, but there's definitely two sides of it, but I definitely wouldn't change it for anything else.
Absolutely. Do you have any teammates living, well, even if they live close, you cannot see each other, but are they close for this finish? Or are they living close to you? Anything?
Yeah, so we're in the condos for players out of town. So we're all in the same building, but we're just in different rooms. So I got some guys living above me, some guys living below. So we just say hi to each other sometimes. And
okay.
That sort of thing. But it's nice to have those guys just to see some familiar faces and keep those relationships going.
Okay. What is the language more spoken? Is English, French, or Spanish? No, I know it's not.
Spanish a little bit. Obviously, not between us. It's just French and English. But these guys on the team, like Maxi Ruti, Jorge Corrales,
Boya, no?
Romel Kyoto, they speak Spanish. So they're always speaking Spanish to each other. We speak English. I can actually speak French, so like I'm decent at French, so I can keep a conversation. And if the guys want to speak in French, I'll try my best. But it's different in Montreal because they speak so much quicker, and they can speak in slang sometimes. So I miss a couple words. So it's, but I try my best anytime to speak it when I'm out in the store or whatever. But yeah, it's all different. And then obviously the boss man in training, he'll switch from difficult for him. Because it's mainly in English because everyone knows English, but if he's speaking to an individual player, it might be French, and then he'll continue to talk to everybody in French, and it's like he has to stop mid-sentence. It's funny, but it's hard for him because he sometimes can speak Spanish, whatever. He knows a lot of languages, so
that's true. Okay, really, for me, we are already finishing. Just one note, and if you wanna add something, I appreciate a lot you be willing to be with me and with the people that is gonna watch it. But I was gonna only remind that your only goal in Canadian Premier League, I have my doubts that was intentional. I think you were crossing to the far post.
Really?
Nah.
Interesting.
No, I just.
I'll let the fans, think what they want. It was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I'll admit that it was. I definitely meant to put it to that area.
Yes.
But we'll leave it at that. We'll let people.
No, it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. It's just aesthetically, you have a really nice touch and beautiful touch. So it's a beautiful touch either way.
Thank you.
It's a golazo. But I was like, wow, okay. That is one of those goals that you go to the locker room. It's like, what do you do, man?
Yeah. It was funny because a bunch of my teammates after were making fun of me. They're like, there's no way that's intentional. Like, you're a center back, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't say anything. I stayed quiet. They all count, right? So I said, hey, we were up 2-0.
Yeah, and for being the only goal, it's a golazo either way. Then we can talk about, but it's really beautiful goal. Well, I'm sure Elijah is gonna watch some of this, and he's been awesome. Honestly, I have been in contact with him since the PDL season.
Good.
It was funny because I told him in the beginning, we had this debate, do you want to come in? And it's in Spanish though. I don't know if you want to come. And it was like a late call. It's like, I don't need him, but he was like, yeah, I think I can try. And he speaks fluent Spanish. It's
fluent. Yeah, he's been working hard. He's been doing it since we went to school together, and he's just been doing it on his own time. And he's really good at it.
Yeah, it's awesome to have him. But Joel, I am so thankful for having you, and I continue to watch where you go thanks to soccer. And I love to have you, and I really liked the conversation.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, and it was fun.
Yeah, I hope to watch you live sometime. We'll see.
Let me know if you're ever in Montreal. I can hook you
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Take
Okay.
it. All
Yeah.
right.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.
Cheers.